Good morning, everyone. Welcome along to Forever United TV, bringing you all your Manchester United news and updates. And Manchester United is the hot topic this morning. Again, the style of play after yesterday, everything, the aftermath. Get your thoughts into the live comment section, everybody. I'm going to give you your chance to have your say this morning. But more importantly, I'm going to bring you all of the Manchester United news from in and around the club first of all. Adam Wharton's message that went under the radar because it was match day yesterday. We're going to talk about that in depth, about what he said, about any potential move for him to any club going into this summer. It's coming from David Ornstein. So looking at this and looking at how it might impact Manchester United, it could impact us big because there were gaping holes in Manchester United's team yesterday and the squad and the unbalanced side of things at United right now and what work still needs to be done, even though we have got a little bit of character and fight back in our Manchester United side, which we cannot deny is there now, and we are a lot more stable and tougher to beat. We are lacking in that department, and it could be massive for Manchester United going forward. Also want to update you on the news from yesterday from Benjamin Sesko. We did a video last night where it didn't look too good. Ruben Amorim really downbeat in his post-match interviews and press conference yesterday. I think it was mainly due to the fact that United kind of threw a game away again there that they were comfortably in control of. But when talking about Benjamin Sesko, worries about what could be a substantial layoff from first thoughts, and even bringing up a conversation of having to go into the transfer market yesterday after the match if Benjamin Sesko's injury was that bad. Now, we're hearing an update on this morning, so we're going to get into that as well and get your thoughts on it. But it all kind of leads into one big conversation today, because I think there's a lot of questions still that were out there. There's a lot of questions still that need answering from Manchester United's performances at the moment. I mean, look, there is a half full and half empty glass view on things. I was angry that Manchester United threw it away yesterday. I've always had the bigger picture at the back of my head after watching Manchester United this season that we're still in the mix. We are still 2 points off second. God knows what's going to happen today. Arsenal and Sunderland both dropped points ahead of us. Spurs didn't move away from us. Chelsea, yes, they got a win, but it was against Wolves, and you'd expect that to happen. But even with that, they're still only 2 points ahead of us. So we haven't really lost ground in a day where Manchester United were playing one of the big six. So you could look at it fully positive on that side of things, and the table never lies. No, it doesn't. And there is so much more to come in these group of games. We talked about it last night. We'll touch on it again this morning and give you your thoughts on the look ahead that Manchester United have got now over the next 6 weeks of football. So we'll get your thoughts on that, along with Benjamin Sesko, the transfers, Adam Wharton. That's where we're starting this morning. Welcome along to the show, everybody. Hope you're doing fantastically well. Hope you slept well after that game yesterday. You can be a little bit downbeat. You can be more optimistic. At least we didn't lose. And the 2 weeks now of international football, God, dare I say it, I know, painful, isn't it? But still, 2 week break, and United have got themselves through a very, very tough first quarter of the season. And we've come out of it not too bad. And again, I always, in the midst of my meltdowns and everything I go crazy about and I'm angry about as a Manchester United fan, I always have to look back to what I said at the start of the season. If we're top half of the table, going into the bigger part of the season around December, and United are still in touching distance, a few points away from the European places, I would be okay with that. That would be all right, and Ruben would be keeping his job. I think we can just forget about any managerial sackings and anything like that. That's been completely shelved now. That's all over. I think what we've got to look at as fans is like, what do we now expect? Now we've had a good look at the squad, what can we expect now going forward? I think that's the conversation we're going to have within this live show this morning. But let's get into Adam Wharton before we get into that. I can already feel myself drifting away into the aftermath of yesterday again. I love a good old analysis debate after a game, but let's talk about Adam Wharton and what he said first of all. And this was yesterday. And it was before the game, just in at the middle of the game, in fact. And obviously, when the football's going on, you're not looking at other types of news, are you? You kind of get deflected away from it. So this is what Adam Wharton was saying yesterday regarding the potential transfers, the rumours of Manchester United. I don't know who's spreading it or who at United is looking at it. I see it and I'm like, okay, And then I carry on with my day. United, the big teams, they're all linked to about 10 to 20 different players. If I'm one of the 20, then there's nothing special, so it doesn't really mean too much. I speak with my agent about planning ahead and possibilities, but at the end of the day, it's who's interested and who's willing to try and get you if that becomes the case. You can speak about it, but you've got to represent that on the pitch and prove that you deserve it. I mean, Wharton there just talking sensibly and talking about it in a way where it's like, well, it's all noise right now. I mean, anybody who's anybody will be speaking to their agent. I mean, I read a piece out from Bruno Fernandes when he made his move to Manchester United some 5-6 years ago now, and it's the same thing. Players will know. Like, we can take players for granted. We can say that they're not happy at clubs. We can all come up with our own opinions on what we think might happen, and we do a lot of it. We're fans. We're allowed to. It's okay. But with a player and his stance on things, and what Adam Wharton's saying there, I think is pretty much the case in any transfer situation, any player's situation, particularly in the Premier League. If you're a top young player, if you're a top player at a football club that you've probably outgrown, and there are plenty. We've talked about 3 of them quite a lot, haven't we, here on Forever United TV? Potential Man United targets, Baleba, Anderson, Wharton, for instance, today on his case. I think they're all in that sort of bracket of players where everybody knows that they're going to make a move. Everyone knows they're going to leave that club because it's not big enough, and that's with no disrespect to that club. Crystal Palace have just won 2 trophies in the last 8 months, so you can't take anything away from what Oliver Glasner and Crystal Palace have done and created there. But Eze has gone, Elise has gone, Mateta will go as well. Obviously Mark Gehi is also leaving this summer, and that's the type of club that it is. So Wharton just keeping his head, keeping his feet on the ground, keeping his head firmly concentrated on what's at hand with Crystal Palace. They've got a massive game today against Brighton. So, again, sensible and looking at it and being realistic. But what he is saying in that there, I feel, is he's saying, like, look, it's all talk right now. And the agent hasn't come to me. My agent's not said anything yet to me. Look, Manchester United will be interested in Adam Wharton. We know this, but it is just interest at this moment. It's all going to come down to who puts that right offer on the table, and he's playing his way into that position where clubs are going to want to. They're going to want to come in for him. Adam Wharton knows what's coming. He knows. Look, nobody's stupid here. If Adam Wharton knows what's coming, he knows if he wants to get back in that England side that he's going to be playing in the Champions League and the higher European trophies. And again, this is why I'm saying it's not just Manchester United that is interested in Adam Wharton. In this piece, it is talking about any big club going in for him. We know there's interest from Liverpool. I think they've been linked with Arsenal, Spurs. There's quite a lot of big clubs that have been linked with Adam Wharton, and even abroad, some massive clubs abroad as well. So when you're looking at this particular transfer, you look at it with Adam Wharton knows what he's got to do. He's spoken about his agent. His agent will be preparing for the summer. It's not going to happen in January. I'm pretty certain of that. And Adam Wharton just has to stay in form. His agent will tell him, just keep on playing, doing your thing. We're safe here. We know that there's going to be umpteen clubs in for his signature come the end of the season. And I think that's really, from what he said there, is exactly how any player is going to take this in this moment. No one can be bought really in the next. I'm adding January to this. Over the next few months of the season, I don't see Crystal Palace letting Adam Wharton go in January. That's the only reason I'm saying that. So, look, he knows he's just got to keep playing football. He's got to stay fit and he's got to keep playing well. And if he does do that, he's going to move in the summer. Everybody knows it. And what he said there is obviously, it's got to have put Manchester United on high alert. United need to be looking at players like Adam Wharton, because yesterday the lack of composure in Manchester United's passing and in that midfield in particular was there for everybody to see. And I think even Ruben Amorim's reaction after the game was showing that yesterday. There is a lack of understanding and control in Manchester United's game. Where the fight is there, don't get me wrong. And that's great. And that's probably stage one for United. But when you want to move forward, and if you are being serious about talking, and Ruben Amorim staying in his job, then Ineos have to be looking at players like Adam Wharton, Anderson, and Carlos Baleba, whichever midfielder it is still, or it could be Boadi, any of these players that we've spoken about over the last few weeks. I mean, for instance, Hackney scored again for Middlesbrough yesterday in their clash, and it's always going to be difficult to get players in January, and this is where it comes into Manchester United and what happens this season, because we have been, well, not solid, we've been combative, I would say is probably the right word this season so far. The last 5 games have shown that United are no pushovers. The weak link has gone, and that weak mentality has left, but it can only take you so far. You cannot continue scraping last-minute equalisers after blowing games when you were comfortable in that particular game. You have to be able to play 90 minutes. And United just, it's difficult. I think we got 90 minutes in the Brighton game. I think we got 90 minutes just about in the Liverpool game. But even Sunderland, we switched off in the second half a bit. I'm looking at a couple of other games as well for Manchester United. The last 2 away from home, Forest and Spurs, were games of 2 halves for us, weren't they? And you just need sometimes to look at it and go, yep, everyone is giving everything, and the players are. I can't fault them. I cannot fault the effort in this team now. There is nothing wrong behind the scenes. There is no bad eggs. There is no circus going on and dramas at Manchester United. There's none of that. And this is where I get angry, because I feel like these players are just, they're missing something. It's just like, what is it? It's like we're all debating and we're all saying it yesterday, and I'm sat here and I'm listening to what every United player, every United fan is talking about after the game. I'm like, it has to come down to quality. It's just that quality in the team. Now, I know that this team is good enough to hold out in that game against Forest and Spurs. There are enough players and seniority in that team that we could see that game out. And it infuriates me, because they do just melt and give it away. I'm banging my head against the bleeding wall with this team sometimes. Like, how can you not see that game out? I'm just like, there's nothing to worry about in that Spurs side. There was nothing to worry about in the Nottingham Forest side last week either. I'm just like, I just don't get that. I'm like, right, okay. So there is obviously a mentality switch off, like they just forget what their jobs are for them short spells in games. And I think someone like Wharton, a calming influence, someone in that midfield in particular, because the midfield was definitely being pinpointed yesterday, quite rightly so, I thought, for so many reasons, and we'll move on to that next. But I want to get your thoughts early doors, though, in the live chat, people. Come into the comments section. Let me know what you're thinking on the Adam Wharton situation, please, everybody. Let's get in this and let's get cracking with this topic, and then we'll move on to some bits of the game, because I want to talk about Benjamin Sesko's injury as well and get you fully updated on that. And then we're going to have a look through all of the other news as well, which is circulating and doing the rounds this morning. Welsh Red says Bruno and Agate playing together is probably the weakest midfield in the league. Unfortunately, again, like Casemiro comes off, Harry Maguire comes off, and Manchester United, I don't want to go in on the rest of the team here, but come on, we all know what we're seeing. It's like when Casemiro comes off that pitch in midfield, Manchester United go to pot. It happened against Brighton. It happened again against Spurs yesterday. We just, it's difficult because he cannot last. He cannot see out 90 minutes now. And that is the worry, because the drop-off in quality in Manuel Agate to Casemiro is there. I get it. He's energetic. He's good, but he hasn't got the composure. He's not got that presence, I don't think, in midfield that Manchester United need. Bruno Fernandes yesterday was, and I've praised Bruno Fernandes for the last 4 games. That's the worst I've seen Bruno Fernandes play. Yesterday, he was absolutely awful. And don't get me wrong, he'll hold his hands up and say the same thing, but I'm not defending him on that. I'm not going to defend a poor performance And there was obvious things he could have done yesterday that would have kept that game simple and maybe even created more chances for United that he did not do. Like, I'm not going to hide behind my love for Bruno Fernandes and what he's brought to this club for one game just to try and defend him and the way he played. But the midfield, again, it comes back to Adam Wharton, doesn't it? It's just not there. That extra bit of quality in midfield sees that game out yesterday, I think. Composure. Wow, look, if anyone presses Manchester United or is intense with us in that midfield, we just seem to lose it. It just seems to evaporate. And we end up chasing our tails and digging in, last-ditch defending. And then, obviously, we end up conceding the late goals and losing goals in gluts as well, like we mentioned last night. Wharton can't say too much. His fans will turn on him, says Deborah. I don't think it's a case of turning on. I think it's just a case of reality. And I think what Adam Wharton has said there has just opened up the door. He didn't need to say anything and concentrated on Crystal Palace. And that's all I'm bothered about at the moment. He didn't. He went into the agent. He went into the rumours. He went into talking about other clubs. He knows what's coming this summer. And I think that was the key in that whole conversation with Wharton there. It's like he's not completely shutting it down again. And I think this is probably words from the likes of his agent and saying, look, we'll just say this. We'll keep everybody interested. We'll keep everybody there contacting us and giving us an option. Because at the end of the day, it's a short future. And no matter how committed he is, and thankful he is to Crystal Palace, he's going to want to make sure that he secures his future. And a big move to a big club, that's his future sorted there. That's done. Financially stable. And I think it is something that all of these agents and players do talk about together. And I think he was talking like his agents in that yesterday. And I think, you know what, he didn't say anything wrong, like Deborah says there. He's not turning on his own club. He's not saying that he wants to move away or anything stupid like that. I think he's just keeping it down. He's just keeping it mature. And I think he said the right things there yesterday, while still adding intrigue and making sure that everybody knows that he's going to play his way into somebody else's team come the end of this season when the summer starts. Sounds like a mature guy. I would be more than happy with him bolstering our pitiful midfield, says Stephen. King Walker says, I said that the club are not in for Wharton because Amorim doesn't fancy him. Amorim does fancy Wharton, by the way. From what's been said, Amorim is an admirer. I think there are other options there. I think Elliot Anderson is still his top target, but Adam Wharton and Elliot Anderson, I'm talking two here. Man United's depth in midfield, if we get into Europe, it's got nowhere near good enough. I'm sorry. United need to do, like, if United are willing, and I'm going to put this out, lay this out in a picture right now. If United are willing to go, and this is, we've got Mason Mount, we've got Bruno Fernandes, we've got Ahmad, we've got Xerxes, you've got four midfielders there. You Kobe Mainu, 5'10s there already. If United are willing to go out in a summer transfer window under Ruben Amorim and go out and forget about them 5 players and buy 2 10s to start every single game, United will be more than willing to go out and get 2 midfielders to start ahead of everyone that we've got in that midfield right now. It's like night and day. We actually had an alright set of 10s, but Ruben wanted more up front. And look, we have 19 goals this season. We're right up there in terms of scoring goals in the league this season, so it's worked. The midfield just isn't good enough to marry up to that, I don't think. I really don't. I think the defence is all right, and we'll see when Leach comes back and what happens there. The midfield is so bad for Manchester United, so bad at the moment in terms of depth. I'm not saying the players are bad, by the way. I think they're on and off, but depth and having another option, there's nothing. Absolutely nothing. And Ruben doesn't trust Agate. He doesn't trust Kobe Mainu. So you're holding on to a 30-plus-year-old, 2 30-plus-year-olds in that midfield that are running their asses off and are blowing out after an hour. Even Bruno Fernandes. Like, he's not getting any younger. You need someone to replace Bruno with. You need somebody else to come on. You need 2 more midfielders. 3 midfielders, in fact, into that side. We talked about Sekou Kone coming into Manchester United side. Maybe Sekou Kone could start a game and Casemiro comes on to add that experience and show things up later on. Anything right now, just to give us a little bit more legs in that midfield. Because obviously we cannot go out and buy anybody right now. Which again, forward thinking, can United drag out anything out of this season and get us back into Europe with this midfield that we've got right now? That's really the bit that we're talking about here. But in terms of the numbers, Man United will go out and buy at least two quality midfielders to bring into this first 11. They have to. And the rest of it should fall into place for squad depth. Even if you're not moving Casemiro on or Bruno Fernandes on in the summer, you need two players to come in that are going to be good enough to replace both of them. And if Bruno's an intermittent starter or coming into a squad rotation, so bleeding be it. That's the type of depth that you're going to need if you're going to compete in Europe. Right now, we've probably just got enough to scrape Europa League. If we do something in January, maybe United could push on and get the Champions League. Look, I'm saying it because I'm watching Chelsea, I'm watching City, Liverpool, the rest of the top four. There's no way Man United could say that they're any worse or any more inconsistent than Spurs and Chelsea. I'm sorry, we can take one of them teams down. The stability seems to be coming back into City and Liverpool. So the top three, I think, takes care of itself. But there's one more place to fight for. And I think we're better than Chelsea and Spurs. I'm going to be honest, I looked at that Spurs side yesterday. Oh my God, they are crap. How we gave that game away, I do not know. But I think it's there. I just don't know what we're going to do in January. I really don't know which way we're going to go with it and how we're going to get anybody else in. But look, that is the debate, isn't it? Because there is little difference in points between the top half and the bottom half of the league. At this stage of the season, position in the league can change fast. Need to still keep on getting points. And we dragged a point out by there. We're going to have to do it hook or by crook to keep ourselves in contention. And it's going to be one of them weird old seasons for Man United. And don't get me wrong, I would have accepted the way that we've played the last 5 games all day long. I know it seems downbeat, and the last 2 games have been a little disappointing in the way that we've finished them. But still, my God, it's a lot more exciting and a lot more enjoyable to watch in a way, isn't it? I mean, me losing the plot over the way that we are lacking composure in games, I would have snatched your hand off for that compared to what we were watching and what was being dished out last season all day, every single day. At least I got something to bite. The fact that I'm getting really angry watching Man United at the moment is a big positive for me because it makes me feel like I've got something to hold on to. I'm angry because I can see potential now. I can see something in the team. And when they don't show it, the emotions come out. If I was sat here and I was just like, yeah, meh, expected, yeah. Oh, God, we conceded. No, that's a poor pass. Then it would just mean to me, like, I'm not really into this team. I'm not really there with it. And I'm not. I'm full on invested in. And I'm bouncing off the walls right now because I can see something being developed. And I know myself inside. I'm sure there's plenty of people in the chat right now and tell me how you're feeling. Like, the fact that I'm angry and I'm getting worked up means that something's happening. Because I'd just be flat. I would be like, just shocking. Like I wouldn't have any energy in me if I didn't think that this team had potential. I actually feel like I'm holding on to something here, and I feel like Manchester United have got an opportunity to actually accomplish something this season. And it really annoys me when we let it go. I actually do feel like I feel like there's a heart back in. There's a bit of a heart and soul back in my Man United side. As a Man United fan, that's how I feel right now. And if I'm angry, I'm happy because something's happening. It is. Last season, I can tell you this now for nothing. Last season, and I know this from talking to fans, we could have give tickets away last season. We could have people were offering tickets for nothing because no one could be arsed watching that shit. That's it. Sorry for swearing on a Sunday morning. Saved that for a 12 o'clock kickoff in the league. God, sorry about that yesterday as well. But the fact that fans couldn't be bothered last season, but now, like this season, the difference, I think that should be encouragement enough for any Man United fan, I feel. And it's deflating when you drop points like we did in the last couple of games. But honestly, if you'd give us that sort of fight last season, I think we always need to, and I always give myself a little bit of a reality check after every game, after my meltdowns, after everything that I've said and blown up about. and I do, and I'm not hiding away from it, I'm an idiot at times, then I always give myself that little bit of a rain check and a reality, a real look on things. And last season, we didn't have this. We didn't have this at all last season. So, again, Ruben's disappointment yesterday was different to last season's. I could feel the anger in his voice yesterday when I was listening to it. I'm like, yes, go on, Ruben. That's how I feel right now. I could feel a connection yesterday. I was like, yeah, you should be angry. You should be absolutely livid because your team had that and then you blew it. And there's nothing worse than throwing it away. Like, if you had played crap, there's like an acceptance, isn't there? We're just awful. But we're not. We're just... we're just really frustrating to watch right now because there is something that we can actually... I can see building here, and that's the annoying thing. James is in the chat, always half full, James. I know, a good match vlog from James yesterday. We added it to the content for yesterday. If you haven't watched James's match vlog, do go and watch that back. That was on late last night as well. There were lots of people telling me to calm down, quite rightly so as well, but in the emotion of the game, that is just me, I'm sorry. And it is what it is. I've just explained how I am and what I am as a United fan there. And it is just because I feel like something is actually coming here and building. We are inconsistent because our manager is also inconsistent. Your thoughts, please? No, I disagree on that, Sanchez. With that one, I think Ruben did everything right yesterday. I can't even blame him. James went in on it yesterday with the subs, saying the subs weren't good, but Harry Maguire had an injury. Casemiro was, honestly, I've seen him walking off the pitch. It's like he'd just finished a marathon. He looked dead. And then you're relying on your squad to then continue what's going on. When you're bringing Dalot on, you're bringing Manuel Ugarte on, there is the clearest sign there that Man United have got a good starting 11, but the drop-off is substantial. Massively substantial when it comes to squad depth. There isn't enough there. We didn't have Kobbie Mainoo to come on yesterday. Maybe Kobbie would have held on to the ball a little bit more. I don't know. I'm guessing at that. But the squad depth is definitely not good enough for Manchester United. And you can only imagine what we'd be like. In fact, if Man United were in Europe this season, I think the squad depth would be destroying us. I think we would be really struggling. And I can see other teams as well. It's like the inconsistencies of Liverpool, City, Chelsea, Tottenham, teams like this. And you look at Bournemouth and Sunderland who haven't got European football. I think Manchester United, in a way, and I said this yesterday, we need European football because I think our match sharpness is suffering for it. But the squad depth in terms of players right now, Ugarte and Dalot coming on the pitch yesterday, completely transformed that game for Man United. Flash says Dalot needs to go end of the season, but we know he's not. A man's got to keep his cousin. Now that there is where people would end up going in on Ruben Amorim. I think the Dalot love affair, him continuously playing. I mean, he didn't start him yesterday, so I've got to give Ruben a bit of credit for that. I thought Dorgu had a shaky start, but definitely grew into the game. I didn't think he was bad yesterday, Dorgu. I was actually pleasantly encouraged by Dorgu's performance yesterday. I think he grew after the first 15 minutes in that game. Look, some people will disagree with that. That's fine. But I was actually a little bit more upbeat with Dorgu. I want Dorgu to start the next few games. This man needs to actually, now I feel, get a bit of consistency. I'll be watching Ruben Amorim for that. I don't like the chopping and changing all of the time. I really don't. It's not going to help him. It's not helping the team because they're not... Honestly, if you've got Dalot running down your left-hand side, then you're up against it straight away. Your options are dropping off, aren't they? I think Dorgu at least has that athleticism and he's got that energy, I think, and power that Dalot doesn't have. And I think he's a bit raw at the moment, but I think with games, I think Dorgu could come into his own. We've already seen what Dalot is. Dalot's had his chance. He's a bench player. That's it. I'm not scared about saying that either. Dalot's a bench player. He's not good enough to start in Man United starting 11. I'm sorry. It's there for everybody to see now. And Ugarte should be nowhere near. Man United side. But that's what you're bringing on. That's the difference. It is quite funny, Adam. Also shows how much you care as well in terms of my emotions. I know, Stephen. We all could see a Spurs comeback as soon as Agate and Dalot came on yesterday, says Daz. Casemiro asked to come off the pitch, says Graham, who was at the game. Look, there's no fault in Ruben Amorim bringing Casemiro off that pitch yesterday. You cannot blame the manager for that. And I had absolute zero problems with what Ruben Amorim did yesterday. We managed it well, and we had our usual frustrating 10-minute meltdown, which we have had in the last 3 games consistently. And it's so frustrating. We just like 2 goals in quick succession against Forest, 2 goals in 10 minutes against Spurs yesterday. Obviously, we did it against Brighton as well at home and nearly blew that game. 2 goals in 5 minutes in that one. We've got to stop that. Like the moment when we can see the goal, you're like, oh God, when's the next one coming? That's how it feels, doesn't it? But yeah, I get all of the comments in there on that one as well. Look, keep them coming in, everybody. We're going to have a good old debate towards the back end of this show this morning as well. But I want to talk about Benjamin Sesko as well and the news that's come out. Sam C has brought this out as well. It's been reported this morning. Sesko felt pain in his knee following the incident, but early signs suggest that he may not have anything serious. The Slovenian striker is due to undergo a scan tomorrow, and this was after last night, so he's going to have a scan today, with the results set to confirm the extent of the issue. Until then, Manchester United are remaining cautious. So going back off what Ruben said and what Sam says there and what's been reported out of Manchester United at the moment is, of course, the new state-of-the-art facilities at Manchester United give us the opportunity to MRI scan our own players now. So it can all be kept nice in-house, which is how it should be at a club Man United size. But Benjamin Sesko, I don't know. It didn't look horrendous, but the worry that I had was it's always the player's expressions, the player's face, and he wasn't for carrying on yesterday. He knew something was wrong, and for a player to just completely ditch after coming on, a player who needs to make an impression, a player who's been heavily criticised and has got the bit between his teeth, he was shocking yesterday, Sesko. I cannot defend his performance yesterday. I thought it was awful. And I think the pressure's got to his head. That's another story he's going to have to deal with. Maybe a bit of time out might help him. Maybe this break now, international break, might help Benjamin Sesko deal with this. But in terms of the injury, at least the noises at the moment aren't of this is the end of the season talk. Because if he's done a serious knee injury, we know what this injury does. We're already seeing it with, obviously, Lisandro Martinez. But Sesko wasn't stretchered off yesterday. Sesko walked off the pitch himself, or hobbled off. And that, for me, was something that you would probably look at and say, doesn't look too bad. Isn't definitely something we should be obviously doom and glooming straight away. If a player is stretchered off who's holding his knee, you're thinking it's the end, and that's it, season over. Not Sesko yesterday, but there was Ruben Amorim talking yesterday. I don't know. They're never going to give anything away straight away, but obviously he's felt something in his knee. I think Ruben was really disappointed in how Sesko played yesterday, and he's talking in the transfer tongue again there about potentially having to look how we can improve the squad in January. I just feel like he was talking like a man yesterday that doesn't feel like there are too many options for him to change things, and if Sesko's out, he's going to be forced into bringing Zirkzee back in, I think, which I'm not saying is a bad thing. At the end of last season, Ruben was chomping at the bit to try and get Zirkzee back in the side. But look, there's another option there for United. It's not the end of the world, and I don't think Sesko's injury, touch wood, is that bad. But the early reports on it, we will see over the week. And I'm sure Manchester United won't want, well, I would hope they wouldn't want the fans waiting around to find out what's going on. But we've seen this before and how Manchester United operate. They did it with Matthias Cunha. They don't like to give too much away too early. So cautious approach to what news they put out. And obviously, until the scan is done, we're not going to know. But even if Man United were missing Sesko for 4 weeks like it was with someone like Matthias Cunha, early on in the season. I think Xerxes should be okay to play up front for Manchester United. I don't know. Is anybody bringing Chido in? I mean, get into the comment section on this now. How would you approach the Benjamin Sesko situation? How would you approach it in terms of the in terms of the transfer window? Would you go out and buy another striker? Even if Sesko is actually okay and it's not a bad injury, do you still go out and look for another striker? Because the performance alone from him the last couple of games have not been great and are definitely cause for concern. There is news coming out as well. Multiple sources now stating Manchester United manager Ruben Amorim wants to bring another attacker in January. That come from Indy Kelly as well this morning. Look, I think that was off the back of what he said last night. I'm not taking that too seriously at the moment. I mean, I don't think Manchester United are desperate. We need another striker, but I don't think there is a mad rush. I mean, look, we're still another 6 weeks away from the transfer window opening anyway, so I don't think there's much we can do. We're going to see Joshua Xerxes again. A lot of fans have been asking that question. Why don't we give Xerxes a chance? Well, maybe now we will see it. Watch Ruben Amorim start Mason Mount and push Buddy Cunha up there into the number 10, back into number 9 again. Okay, I can see it. He started the season that way. But give me your thoughts on this and where you would go with the forwards. What would you do in January? Would you bring Xerxes in as the number 9? Let me know. Flash says, when everyone is fit, Lamens, Yoro, De Ligt, Shaw, Ahmad, Casemiro, Bruno, Dorgu, and Mbumo, Mounts, Cunha, subs, Mazraoui, Sesko, Mainu, Shaw, Maguire. I don't know. I think that team will change. We've not got Lisandro Martinez in there either. I think he's going to come back into the fray as well. Didn't Maguire also get subbed due to injuries? Yep, I did mention that, Max. Maguire looked like he was holding his hamstring. And I think we'll hear more about that this week as well. So, yeah. With no press conference now, obviously, for another 2 weeks for Manchester United, we're not going to hear too much. So, we're going to be relying on whatever Man United want to release when they want to release it. So, I think it's going to be a definite problem for Manchester United if Maguire, if there's any, like Maguire being out, Leach coming back in again. It's Maguire's presence, I think, in the air and his dominance in the air is what we'll miss in that one. Like, don't get me wrong, I love Lenny Yoro, I love Leacher, and I think De Ligt's been absolutely awesome for Manchester United, but they aren't the biggest, and that's the concern. Like, Forest did it to us, again, crosses into the box, hampered us a little bit yesterday, although I did think we dealt with most of it yesterday well with Spurs, but Maguire was at the heart of that, obviously, and that's what we might be missing now. People are choosing to ignore it because individual irritation to individual players. Richarlison's goal is a catalogue of errors. I think James on his vlog, a few other people were saying that De Ligt got turned too easy by Richarlison. Not Richarlison, Alex Tell on that first goal. I don't know. I need to watch it back again, but Agate's positioning for the Richarlison goal, like, did he get pushed in there? Was he off balance? I think I remember him stumbling back towards the goal and then just doing everything he possibly could to try and get back ahead of Richarlison when that ball was coming back in. So you could see it was drilled into him. And you could see the worry and the panic in his face. Like I did feel sorry for Agate in that moment, actually. When I could see what he was trying to do and it was right. But the split second, you know what? Even if he'd have just stayed there, but you're never going to, are you? But do you know what I mean? Hindsight and everything. If he'd have just stayed there, he probably could have got his foot to it and probably cleared it away. I'm not bringing football IQ into the equation there at all. I'm not having a go at Manuel Agate. He did the natural footballer's thing. Quick. Get back in and hold the line, and it was just too late, and that cost us. It really cost us the game, didn't it? Them moments of, like I said before, and I said it last night, pure meltdown for Manchester United. Just that composure factor in the team is what is lacking right now. And you took off 2 players there that would have been shouting and bawling and being organised in that last 15-20 minutes in Maguire and Casemiro. But we needed to bring both of them players off, sadly. And then knowing our luck, obviously, Sesko goes down and we haven't got another substitute to make. And Ruben was talking before the game, wasn't he, about the luck, about needing that. We didn't have it yesterday. I thought Spurs were very lucky yesterday in a lot of their moves. There was nothing fluent about them at all. And I thought they just got some breaks in a lot of that. Yesterday. Did. Coming back with 10 men yesterday was a positive, but why didn't go and get a second goal? Spurs were there for the taking. We allowed Spurs back into the game. We tried to control the game in the second half, but we created nothing. Vicario had no saves to make at all. We should have gone and tried to get the second goal, and that's the concern for United. Go get the second goal. Why didn't we go and do that in the game? Look, when we have done that, we've been comfortable. We've only done it at home so far this season, but it shows you done it. Away from home, for some reason, we don't like to go out and just kill teams off. I know it's different because obviously the pressure's on and you have to deal with a different environment. But still, you've got to have the confidence to go out there and get that second goal. Otherwise, you're always going to be coming up against this scenario. Mr. Creed says, I think you have to ask yourself, what's that? To else you can't moan about depth. I think you have to, or else. I think you're supposed to say that. Sorry, there's a big typo in there, mate, on that. Thanks for the super chat. Can United end Rasmus loan early? No, they can't, and it's pointless bringing Rasmus Højlund back anyway. It's a different league and he's comfortable in Italy. We already know that Rasmus Højlund cannot hack it in the Premier League. Xerxes in the 9 will release Cunha and Mbumo, but we won't see it because Amorim wants his busybody try-hard mate Mount, who offers no quality. Disagree with that one, mate. I think Mount offers a lot of quality to Manchester United. That is a bit harsh, that comment. And yeah, I'm not on board with that one. I don't think Mount's done anything wrong this season for Manchester United at all. And I haven't got a problem if Mason Mount starts any game, by the way. None whatsoever. I think that energy and that composure on the ball, I think he does look after the ball well, Mason Mount. So I'd be happy if he came into the side. Graham says, to be fair, Frank's substitutes made a difference. Tell Aubert and Bentancur improved them. And the Spurs fans were moaning at them substitutes as well. I remember it being spoken about. And yet, Højlund has hit a bit of a barren patch in Italy as well. He's also been out for a couple of weeks through injury as well, Højlund. But there is, and I mentioned this the other day as well on another show, there is parts of the Italian media now actually jumping in on Rasmus Højlund's performances, like they've noticed the honeymoon period is well and truly over for Rasmus Højlund in Italy. Henry says, Adam, if Ruben Amorim keeps playing players out of position like Cunha, it doesn't work. When is Ruben going to learn? In my opinion, don't you think, Adam? Look, Cunha up front does a job for United. Look, no one was complaining when we did this against Liverpool and we got the win. It worked there, and it didn't yesterday. We weren't able to keep him out. Let's not forget, Manchester United are averaging in this spell, well, Cunha has played in some of these games as number 9, 2 goals a game. And look, you can say that we didn't really create much, like I just said yesterday, but on paper, Man United are right up there in terms of scoring goals this season. So, and when Cunha plays, like, we are still scoring goals. I know what you're saying, though. I would like Cunha at 10. I think he's more effective at 10. The wider 10. I would definitely be playing Ahmad at right wing back again. I thought Mazraoui was poor yesterday. That cannot happen again. It's not good enough going forward. I've said this all along. Mazraoui should be one of the back 3, or he's on the bench. And that's good squad depth. Ahmad needs to be at right wing back, and I would play Dorgu at left wing back and stick with that now. Cunha and Mbeumo and play Xerxes in front of them. That's if Sesko's injury is bad. And then Mount can come in and alternate as well. Obviously, if you could play Dalot at right wing back if you wanted to push Ahmad up there and rest somebody as well. Dalot off the bench at best on the right, on his natural side, please, Ruben. That's something that I think is a big problem with Ruben Amorim and playing him on the left. Like you keep on moaning about Dalot having to cut in. Stop playing him on the left-hand side. He's not good enough. So, yeah, I still think we've got more than enough there to cope with potential injuries of Sesko and mixing it up and still being a threat. I just think that the scan for Benjamin Sesko, well, it's going to be important for us because my biggest concern with Sesko isn't that injury, it's his mentality. Concerned after that performance before he got injured yesterday, and I think it is all down to the pressure and what's going on off the pitch, and I don't think he's handled it the best. I think it's got to him a little bit. So yes, Adam does highly criticise the manager. I do. Is someone saying I never do? It's good football debate, isn't it? It brings up it brings up a lot of emotions, and it brings up comments and people saying things that they probably don't know enough about in terms of me anyway, with my opinions on things. I've always been critical of Ruben Amorim. I've been critical of every single player. I'm not one of them people or fans that's just going to say, oh, I love Bruno Fernandes and I'm always going to defend anything that he does wrong. Sorry. I just say it as it is. If you have a crap game, you have a crap game. I'm going to tell you. I thought Bruno Fernandes played well in the last 4 games. Yesterday, he was awful. He was. And no one can tell me otherwise. He was. But there's other fans out there that because they have put their name to a certain player, because they have slaughtered that player before many a times, they won't go back on it. And they will always find a negative. Or if they praise the player, they will always find a positive in what they have done. They will always try and defend him. No, you don't have to be like that. You don't have to be like that. And I am. I don't think Ruben Amorim helps himself at all. But in terms of the team yesterday, Ruben got it wrong with Mazraoui. He didn't get it wrong in bringing Dalot off and playing the likes of Dorgu at left wing back. I thought Dorgu handled himself okay. The midfield was right, but he hasn't got the depth to change it. And this is the problem. This is a big problem. And this is why I think Ruben is looking at potentially bringing in academy players, and more of them are now featuring in first team training. It's going to be interesting to see if anyone does break in at some point this season. And if United don't sign anybody in January, then they're going to need to. Because at the moment, Casemiro is struggling with 1 game a week. And if he gets an injury, ooh, yeah, that could be an interesting one. Cunha is not offering nothing at the moment. Mount makes us compact as a team and offers more than Cunha does. Cunha in spells in games is unplayable. But then again, he can have a drop-off. The standards, obviously, that Bryan Mbeumo has set makes everybody look crap. Because he's that good. I mean, my God, let's finish with that positive of Bryan Mbeumo, by the way. How good is he? 5 Premier League goals now this season, 6 in all competitions for Manchester United. We have actually found ourselves a 20-goal-a-season goal scorer again in Bryan Mbeumo. He's had a fantastic start to his Man United career, and long may it continue. The big problem is that Bryan Mbeumo is going to be missing for AFCON in them big games around Christmas. How we replace him is what we should all be concerned about. Cunha and Mount will have the debate. Bryan Mbeumo is irreplaceable for Manchester United. That's how good that man is. And that link up. And by the way, shout out to Ahmad for yesterday's performance. The way that he looked after the ball is something that all Manchester United players could look at as an example how to be composed on the ball. And Mbeumo and Ahmad I got no fears with whatsoever. Cunha will be fine. Got no problem. Mason Mount, there's lots of positives there. Bruno Fernandes, in and out of form, is a bigger concern than the conversation we're having between Mount and Cunha. That's the worry. It all leads into what we were talking about at the top of the show. You need an Mbeumo and Cunha type of player in midfield. Someone you know that can handle the occasion. I'm not saying Bruno can't, but I think Bruno is trying to do too much because of this formation, and he's not the right man for it, I don't think. Overall, Bruno has played well, like I said, and he will, but you're going to get games like yesterday with Bruno. There's nothing you can do about it. They're always going to be there for him, and we're going to have to live with it because there isn't anybody else. So, onto the transfer market. Let's see. I don't think United will be able to get one of the big targets in January, but I'm sure they will try anyway. And if they are desperate to salvage your season and get into Europe, then Man United are going to have to try and push the envelope a bit here, I think, and get somebody in. Because, again, it's just not there. I mean, just quickly as well, I forgot about this, but I did mention this last night, and the actual fixtures and what Manchester United have got. I talked about it last night in depth, actually, and I'm just going to bring them up now. Again, Manchester United now. So this now is where we're at. So that tough spell is over, and it was a tough spell for Man United, but Everton at home, Crystal Palace away, West Ham at home, Wolves away, Bournemouth at home. There are games in the first, there are next 5 games for Manchester United. We have to win our home games. We've got 3 home games in there, and that's 9 points. I think United can beat anyone at home. Crystal Palace away, Wolves away. Palace away, you're probably saying it's a good draw with the way that they play. Wolves away, you've got to win. You've got to win that game. So straight away there, 12 points, 3 home games won, and the away game against Wolves, you've got to win that. So 12 there, 1 point, 13 from the next 15 available for Manchester United. You're in the top 4. You know what I mean? And then you're looking, gets a little bit tougher, but Aston Villa away on the 21st, tough game, scrape a draw out of that. And then you've got Newcastle on Boxing Day at home and Wolves at home on the 30th of December. I think United win both of them games as well. 2 home games, and all of a sudden, there, out of the next 8 games, Manchester United, you're looking at 20 plus points, and this is what we've got to look at, I think, now. These are winnable games for Manchester United, and the fact that we've got 5 home games in the next 8 for Manchester United, again, gives me confidence that we can actually pick up a good chunk of points now. We've had a bit of a tough run, and I think home form is going to be key for Manchester United this season. And I'm actually quite confident going into this next group of games after the international break that we can pick up close to maximum points. In the home games, I expect United to win them all. So, yeah. Look, we've got on quite a long way there. Thank you so much, everybody. Really enjoyed that. That's brought me straight back down. I've got a massive game today for Winton Wanderers ladies, so wish me luck in that one. We're playing Oldham Athletic away today, so massive game. We got a good result against Hyde last week at their place. We drew 1-1. They were the champions last year, so good result there. I'm moving on to Oldham Athletic today. We're looking for our first win of the season, so we're turning things around, so wish us luck. We're over at Opwood Hall, actually, today. That's where the game is, so if anyone wants to come along and watch, who's in the Manchester area, fancies it, in Middleton part of town. Hotwood Hall, 2 o'clock kickoff, so be there if you want to see the Winton ladies get the win. Come on, the Orange. Let's have it. Anyway, for now, that's it. I'm going to be over on Football Talks now, actually, everybody. I'm talking about another Arsenal slip-up. Could this be the start of another bottled championship charge for Arsenal? Let's cheer ourselves up, Reds, and have a laugh at Arsenal last night, because they made our result, actually, on paper, despite what we said and criticised within the game and performance, not a bad one. So let's move over to Football Talks now. Pop a like on this video. Make sure that you hit the subscribe button here on Forever United TV, everybody. And I'll see you on Football Talks in 1 minute.